This episode is brought to you by Visit Anaheim. This is the Convene podcast. How a sustainability event grew from a small meeting into a global gathering and embedded its values into every facet of its design along the way. The Net Zero Conference walks the talk. Written and read by Barbara Palmer, Deputy Editor of Convene.
When Drew Shula, founder and CEO of the green building consultancy Vertical Group, 13 years ago convened the first version of the gathering that would become the Net Zero Conference, it wasn't meant to be an annual event, Kim Yo, Vertical's marketing and events manager, told Convene. Shula, an environmentally minded architect who founded Vertical in 2012 to advise the construction industry on building practices that reduce carbon emissions, was just looking for a way to bring clients and experts together to talk about how to make buildings more sustainable and the emerging net zero movement, which wasn't well known at the time, No said. The United Nations has defined net zero as cutting greenhouse gas emissions to as close to zero as possible, with any remaining emissions reabsorbed from the atmosphere by oceans and forests. To the surprise of the Vertical Group's then minuscule event team, with Shula and one other person, more than 100 people registered, No said. It demonstrated that there was an audience eager to learn about mitigating the negative environmental impact of building construction and operations, and that events, quote, are an amazing platform for bringing people together to share their knowledge of how to make the building industry more sustainable, she added. And from there, Vertical Group assembled a proper events team, No said, and began to develop the annual event that's now known as the Net Zero Conference, which in October 2025 brought more than 900 event participants from 27 U.S. states and 10 countries to the Los Angeles Convention Center for a day. The educational scope of the event has expanded along with its size. Last year's keynote speakers range from the environmental activist Naleli Kobo, who, while still a teenager, led a grassroots movement that shut down a toxic oil drilling site in her South Los Angeles neighborhood, to Joel Cesar, an executive at Cambio, an AI-powered real estate investment platform dedicated to decarbonizing commercial real estate. Other sessions focused on construction, energy, materials, water, waste, and technology, as well as biomimicry, which is using nature as inspiration for problem solving, and a City of Los Angeles partnership with UCLA to create the LA Biodiversity Index. To avoid potential bias on the part of Vertical, an outside board of experts drawn from multiple fields is asked to score speaker submissions and determine the educational content, No said. Vertical is a certified B Corp organization, which means it measures the social as well as the environmental footprint of its business and has strong diversity goals for its entire program, she said. The conference aims to create a speaker lineup made up of at least 50% people of color and 50% women. This year, 55% of presenters were women. A Women in Net Zero mixer was held in the conference's expo hall, not exclusive to women, but meant to celebrate them working in what traditionally has been a male-dominated industry, No said. And the Net Zero Conference also offered participants a way to get out from under the fluorescent lights of meeting rooms and into nature. Especially with our conference being so focused on the environment, we want people to actually be out in the environment that we're working so hard to protect, No said. And as would be expected, at an event focused on net zero, we take a lot of actions to have as minimal waste at our event as possible, No said. That long list includes foregoing plastic badge holders, printing badges on recyclable paper and reusing lanyards, asking attendees to bring their own water bottles, encouraging the use of public transportation, using real dishware and utensils wherever possible, and providing guidelines to exhibitors on how they can generate as little waste as possible. Vertical sets an example at its own booth where visitors are given pencils made from wood harvested from sustainably managed forests and embedded with seeds so that they can be planted when they're down to a nub. Since 2020, the Vertical Group has published a Net Zero Conference Transparency Report, recording how it's meeting its own internal goals, which includes generating near zero waste. The Los Angeles Convention Center already has a clear waste sorting system for participants to sort waste on site. Vertical also works in partnership with local Waste Not Consulting, which measures the event's waste stream over the course of a day and then calculates initial waste diversion rates in a dozen categories, including wood, paper, glass, plastic, organic material, and single-use disposables. The consulting firm then makes sure that anything that can be donated or is recyclable or compostable ends up in the right place and calculates a final diversion rate. In 2025, the initial diversion rate was 49%, and the final diversion rate was 91%. We're very proud of that score, No said. We're always looking for ways to make our event as low waste as possible. In recent years, the event planning team has offered sustainable planning service for external events, No said, including the Green Sports Alliance Summit, a global gathering dedicated to advancing sustainability in sports, and the 1% for the Planet Global Summit. The nonprofit organization's 11,500 plus members are businesses that give 1% of their annual sales revenue to environmental organizations, and Vertical's a member. Not all of Vertical Group's external clients are environmental organizations, No said, but it's important to share their expertise in planning low waste events widely because, No said, events typically are very wasteful. We love being able to share sustainable actions with clients who may not have known of these initiatives to begin with. Some participants at the Net Zero Conference in Los Angeles last fall took a break from walking the exhibition floor to hike a 1.3-mile loop at the Bologna Freshwater Marsh, part of a 600-acre ecological reserve in West LA. The reserve, previously the site of invasive weeds, oil fields, and a concrete channel, is now a bird watching hotspot, a refuge for more than 250 species of birds, some of which now return every year to nest after a 70-year absence, according to the Friends of Bologna Wetlands website, the nonprofit organization that led the rehabilitation of the wetlands. The hikers saw a pair of white-tailed kites hunting and lots of snowy great egrets, and great blue herons, said Olivia Jenkins, the manager of scientific programs for the Friends of Bologna Wetlands, who guided the hike. They also heard the calls of rarer species that are vulnerable to climate change, including least bitterns, Virginia rails, and marsh wrens, birds that often hide in the dense reeds of marshes, Jenkins told Convene. Founded in 1978, the Friends of Bologna Wetlands' decades-long work to restore and rehabilitate the reserve benefits far more than the birds it shelters. A healthy wetland doesn't just benefit wildlife, it also improves life for people, Jenkins said. By reducing flooding, cleaning, and processing runoff and groundwater from surrounding communities, and creating green space in the city where folks can de-stress in nature.
Remember to subscribe to the Convene podcast on your favorite listening platform to stay updated with our latest episodes. We want to thank our sponsor, Visit Anaheim. To learn more, go to visitanaheim.org/meetings. For further industry insights from the Convene team, head over to pcma.org/convene. My name is Maggie. Stay inspired, keep inspiring, and until next time.